Hello there, Moti here. In this video, I wanted to talk about my latest illustration for Adventures of Moti book series. This illustration is about a flock of birds sitting on top of a tower overseeing an airport. I'm using Procreate on my iPad. I often start my sketches with some mass silhouette drawings in order to get a feel for the scene that I wish to illustrate. I make decisions about placement of the main foreground characters and the background characters or objects such that it makes most sense to the scene I'm trying to illustrate. In this case, it's an airport scene, so I'm just starting with a big airplane, which is kind of the integral part of this illustration. And there's a tower that's in the foreground. That's where our main characters sit and interact. So I'm drawing quickly the leader of the pack, which is Lucky, a common tern. And then there's this little bird, which is the main character in the book, Moti. And Moti's basically made some new friends, and it's asking this guy, Lucky, what it is that they're looking at down below. What is this massive bird-like machine? And Lucky is trying to explain that it's called an airplane and it's what the humans use to fly. So that is the story that I'm trying to bring to life with this illustration. So I'm doing the illustration in a one-point perspective. As you can see, those perspective lines I just drew, and that's because I want to show as much as the airport as possible, and just sketching out some details, mostly from memory. Just got a few references of some random airports, and yeah, trying to get the runway drawn, and obviously the airplane looked too close to the camera, so I just pushed it back so it just makes more sense to the eye. And then adjusting the proportions and the perspective again, and then drawing these lights that's on either side of the runway. And then I also needed to really have a lot of tiny birds on that tower, because that's when you go to the Illinois airport and have a look at this actual tower that exists, this is often filled with birds, and so that's what the author is trying to bring to life in his story. And I didn't want all the birds to do the same thing, because as you can see, there's something different going on in the foreground with these two birds. It looks as if this guy is flirting with the bird to his right and she's completely ignoring him. And then there's another one that's just on the left looking at the airplane, and then there's a couple on the right just doing their own thing. And but the focus really is on those three birds, Lucky, the leader of the pack, and then Moti and Lucky's wife. I forgot the name at this point, but you'll know if you read the book. And so I'm just refining the sketch here, and then starting to lay down some paint. So I often start with a flat color, and then do the shading, add some highlights and shadows to bring out the form. Nothing too fancy, especially for a children's book. I want to keep it as simple as possible, but at the same time convey the story in the best possible way. So these are common terns, so I've pulled up some references, so I know that they're very greyish and bits of patches of white, and they got this unique black kind of top head that goes around the head. Very unique and quite orangey beaks as well, so I really was intrigued by these terns. I've never come across a common tern before. I mean, they kind of look like seagulls, but they're not. So yeah, just put down some shadows and highlights to bring out the form and make them pop out a bit, and then do the same to the tower. And I'm assuming that the sun is like coming, well, as if you're viewing this, the sun would be behind you on top of your head. So it's sort of, the birds really get some solid light, and then the shadow is sort of pushed to top left of your screens. So that's what I'm trying to do, and try to be consistent with the shadowing throughout the scene, and just continuing to refine the sketch on the airplanes and all the other bits and pieces in the airport, like the car. There's a little mini truck, and I could really go and do a lot more with this sketch and with the airport, but I don't know. With this sketch and the time that I have, I feel like I want to be loose with the background and just you know focus more on the foreground characters, as long as it's an illustration. So as long as it illustrates and conveys the story, and the quality is good enough, I'm okay. And so once I got the birds down here, just what I'm doing here is I copied everything in another new layer, and filled it with solid black and distorted it such that it looks like a shadow on the floor. I'm not sure if that makes sense, if it's accurate enough physically, but it does give a good effect. So I left it that way. And I'm also drawing here another bird that's flying towards the flock here, and I intentionally made it a little bit fuzzy, blurry, because it's still in motion, and technically it shouldn't look as clear as bird sitting down. And then at this stage it's just about putting some paint down and coloring the rest of the scene, and yeah, and then bringing it all together. So that's all there is, really. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click the subscribe button and the bell icon as well if you would like to be notified of future videos. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.